Argentina is a country with chronic inflation. In the last 7 decades, we have destroyed 5 different legal tenders, removed 13 zeros from our currency, and suffered 2 hyperinflations. For context, the last time we had single-digit inflation, I was 3 years old. I'm in my mid-20s now. There is a whole generation of young adults who have never lived or can't remember the last time we had single-digit inflation. Since the 1950s, the single decade in which we managed to keep inflation under control was during the 1990s, and that was because in 1991 we pegged our currency to the US dollar under the Ley de Convertibilidad del Austral. Basically, it required the existence of reserves of US dollars to back the pesos in circulation, heavily restricting money printing. For a decade or so this worked fine, but eventually it led to a crisis and this law was repealed in 2002. Here I have 500 Argentinian pesos. These are perfectly legal tender and can still be used. These were not printed that long ago. However, there is something special about them. Take a look right here. It says convertible de curso legal, or convertible legal tender. When these were printed about 20 years ago, the Ley de Convertibilidad del Austral was still in place and you could exchange them for a total of 500 US dollars. If I were to exchange them today, this is what I would get instead. 50 cents. In 2002, 1 US dollar was worth 1 Argentinian peso. Nowadays, 1 US dollar is worth 1,000 Argentinian pesos. The story repeats itself over and over again. Inflation is too high and prices skyrocket to the point where price references are completely lost. You print bills with ever-increasing nominal numbers. These numbers eventually become meaningless, so you remove a few zeros from the currency and create a new legal tender. In 1881, we introduced the peso moneda nacional, which was replaced by the peso ley in 1969, which was replaced by the peso argentino in 1983, which was replaced by the austral in 1985, which was replaced by the peso convertible in 1992, which was kind of replaced by the peso in 2002, but the peso convertible is kind of the same thing as the peso, it's just that it's not convertible anymore because it's a whole other issue.
El Banco Central de la República Argentina comunica que a partir del 1 de junio entrará en vigencia el peso argentino. Peso argentino, la nueva unidad monetaria.
Muere el peso, nace el austral. Un dinero fuerte y sano que no arrastra consigo la carga de la inflación. Para hacerlo simple, elimine 3 ceros de los pesos actuales.
Un nuevo peso monetario. Dejamos el austral para pasar precisamente al peso. ¿Tendremos un verano caliente? Lo averiguamos para usted.
Y nadie tiene que temer por la evolución futura de la paridad cambiaria. El peso, que a partir del 1 de enero valdrá igual que el dólar, es una moneda destinada a perdurar con ese valor por muchos años. Me atrevo a decir, por décadas.
Anticipo de Crónica TV desde el miércoles. Oficialmente el dólar se cotizará a 1 peso con 35 centavos. Una mala noticia para este año nuevo, ¿no? Pero bueno, es la realidad. Medidas económicas a adoptar. Devaluación del 35%.
Argentina has been ruled by the same political party since 2003, except for a brief period of time between 2015 to 2019. During this time, the same measures were tried over and over again with no positive results. Currency controls, price controls, clientelism and weaponization of welfare, manipulation of statistics, heavy import controls, blocking imports, blocking exports, giving a sizable amount of the population useless jobs in the state just to get their favor, ridiculously high tax rates, you get the idea. During this period, inflation kept increasing steadily. Sometimes it's hard to find reliable information about it because during a significant portion of it, the statistics were heavily manipulated. At the time of making this video, inflation is around 140 to 200% per year, with monthly inflation in the double digits. Wages have been liquidated. The minimum wage is somewhere around $120 per month. The minimum retirement pension is a meager $100 per month. Every now and then these are increased, but of course you can't win a race against triple-digit inflation. We are on the brink of yet another hyperinflation. Since inflation is so high and the peso keeps losing value, one of the ways people try to protect their savings in the short term is buying foreign currency, most commonly US dollars. Now picture this. Let's assume your government treats your currency like shit and devaluates the hell out of it. It keeps losing value, so people try to protect their savings by converting to foreign currency. As the government, instead of improving your monetary policy, you apply useless patches on top of what is already broken.
Ya les pasé mensaje a varios ministros, emitan sin miedo, muchachos, porque esta emisión no va a generar inflación, y esto lamento decírselo a los ortodoxos, pero cuando hay una situación de crisis y cuando tenemos un fuerte control de precios, porque acá el que aumenta precios, le aplicamos la multa y lo metemos preso.
One of these patches is what is known as the cepo cambiario, or dollar clamp. Basically, you limit the amount of foreign currency people are allowed to legally buy per month. At the moment of making this video, this limit is at $200 per month. Of course, people won't just give up and throw their savings down the inflationary toilet. Instead, you get black markets and dozens of different exchange rates. These are the three most important exchange rates. The official exchange rate, or how much the government says the US dollar is worth. This is a lie and it should be ignored. You can't even buy US dollars at this rate, so whatever. It is currently sitting at 350 Argentine pesos per US dollar. Solidary exchange rate, also known as tourist exchange rate. It is basically the price at which the government is willing to let you buy US dollars within your monthly limit. It is the official exchange rate plus a hefty sum of taxes. This also gives the government a sneaky way to devaluate the currency without actually recognizing it devaluated the currency. Just increase the amount of taxes on this exchange rate while keeping the official rate the same, and now you are selling US dollars at a higher price while keeping the official exchange rate at the same value as before. Of course, to say that it actually works like that is more of a political gesture. It is currently sitting at 650 Argentinian pesos per US dollar. And finally, the free market exchange rate, also known as black market, illegal market, parallel market, or blue market. You can freely buy and sell US dollars on the parallel market. You often buy or sell at these rates at places commonly known as cuevas or caves. Usually, when for any reason at all this exchange rate spikes, the government raids these caves in a useless effort to keep the currency afloat. It is currently sitting at 1,000 Argentinian pesos per US dollar. You don't need a huge brain to notice something that shows how ridiculous this whole situation is. By offering the solidary exchange rate, the government is essentially subsidizing cheaper $200 per month. You can buy these cheaper subsidized dollars and then sell them for the real price in the parallel market. This is something that is widely done, and it is called puré or rulo. Now, let's say you do any sort of activity that gets paid in foreign currency. Maybe you export goods, or maybe you are a young programmer working for a US company exporting services. Here lies one of the most wicked aspects of this whole exchange rate mess. You see, if you export services or goods, you cannot keep that foreign currency. The government forces you to convert it to Argentinian pesos. Of course, the government will not use the rate the US dollar is actually worth. That's illegal. Instead, it forces you to sell at a rate you can't buy, the official exchange rate, essentially stealing 2/3 of your wage in currency conversion alone. But we're not done yet. We still have taxes, so from the pennies that are left, the government will take another half. The result is yet another exchange rate, commonly known as soy dollar or exporter dollar, which is a fraction of the official exchange rate. As I said previously, the current government has decided not to fix anything and just apply useless patches, so this is slightly different now, but the root issue still remains. Nowadays, they offer you to sell 50% of it at the official exchange rate and then the remainder at a slightly higher rate, still well below the real rate. Cryptocurrency solves a lot of these issues by the root cause, and it is why many young people who work at foreign companies like programmers and systems administrators choose to get paid in crypto instead. This way, they cannot force them to sell at unfair exchange rates. This is a perfectly legal, moral, and just way to get paid.